And our fig tree is still continuing to put out growth toward the ends of the branches, especially on the upper branches. So I'm very encouraged that this tree will live. I did not think, and normally speaking, you have a few figs come out on last year's wood, but most of that wood was dead. And then about 3-4 weeks later, you have your new growth start, and that's when you have figs. Now I thought since this tree was hit so hard that it would not have figs because it should have already been showing them. But since the growth took so long to start on the tree, I didn't think we'd have any figs. Well, yesterday, looking up through the top, we saw a little ball. And all this new growth on last year's wood has figs. So, contrary to what I would have believed, you can see that all the new growth has figs on it. Like it would normally have, it's just a little later. And I thought since it had been hit so hard that we wouldn't have gotten any figs this year. But the tree puts out figs on new growth, and this is new growth. And that growth doesn't know it was hurt last winter. But you can see the figs in here starting to come out. Right there. So we'll get a few and the birds will get a lot. But you can see it's getting a lot more growth in it. Just have to be patient. And even though it's tempting to cut the tips off, yesterday we were staring at it sitting here taking a break, and you could still see leaves coming out on the smaller branches, and it's slowly getting out toward the ends. So we'll just wait, like I said, whether you cut it off a month or two ago or cut it off in October, it doesn't matter. And some of this might still come out because you got it that far and you just can't see them. They're so small, they're all coming out on the upper branches. The fig tree over by the garden is a brown turkey. I didn't know what this one was, but my bride said that it had honey in the name. And one of the people that watched my channel said it's Italian honey, and I looked it up, and that's exactly what it is. Now you got to remember that that one over there is a weed, and I just haven't had time to cut it out. And the top of this tree is probably not going to come back, but all this lower branches are coming back. Now you can grow a fig tree as a big bush or as a tree. So even if I have to cut all that dead wood back and that dead wood back and all this up here, and that in the very back next to the house would be the only branch that tall, we're just going to end up with a big bush. And as these grow, we will probably take these trunks out and just grow it as a big bush, and that way we can look out of those windows. Now all this new growth on this fig tree has not put out anything. It was behind the brown turkey across the street. You can just start to see these things starting to swell. It's just running a couple weeks behind the other one. And it won't be the end of the world if we have to sort of top all this big stuff out or take it out at the ground and take that branch out. And we're going to move this antenna to the other end of the house hopefully in the next couple weeks. And we'll just have a giant fig bush here, which will really be better on this end of the house. It'll make this end of the house look a lot better. And yes, we do have a antenna rotor, and we can turn a dial and move our antenna around, and sometimes you only have to move it 10 degrees to pick up a station that is partially being seen on the TV in the digital broken up format. We can move that 10 degrees and it comes in clear. We're in an area that you're not supposed to get any reception whatsoever, and on a good day or good night we can get about 16 channels. More than likely, this Italian branch, honey fig tree branch, we'll have to cut it off up here and move it back so we don't disturb any of that. But then that branch will open it up, and that will be the end of our fig bush. Same thing with over here. Eventually it's not going to come in much further than here. Trying to find the last growth. Last growth is right there. So more than likely this is going to come off in this area somewhere. And that will come off somewhere around that joint. See, that one is the weed. That one is a weed. And that'll come off, so we're just going to end up with a big bush.